me to step in his place tonight. I know Dan stepped up last Wednesday, but I just think it's an honor. I don't think many pastors really look out beyond their church for somebody to come up here and preach in front of their congregation. So I'm just honored and blessed that you've seen something in me, and to take this opportunity to kind of share a little bit of my testimony along with some of the scriptures that I'm going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to be in the book of Mark, chapter 4. Not because my name is Mark, as Gary kind of mentioned this morning, but this is actually the first book I opened right here was Mark. I mean, the dust fell off my Bible when I opened it. I kind of have to thank Jenna a lot, give her a lot of credit for me to even be opening this book and standing up here. While she was going to church, I was taking her, dropping her off, picking her back up. So in between while she was there, I was back at home. So I had to give her a lot of credit for where I'm at right now also. So I'm going to kind of start in verse 3 in chapter 4. Verse 3 kind of really, or verse 3 and 4 more or less, is really, I think that represented me as growing up as a small child. I'm adopted, so I come here not really knowing who my real mother and daddy is. But I was adopted by two great parents, which both have passed on. But as far as having a spiritual relation, growing up as a young kid, I had none at all. I remember my mom and dad kind of talking about that they went to church when they were kids, but as far as when I was growing up and them being my mother and father, there was no relationship with the Lord in my house. They loved me. I loved them. I believe, I would say the agape love was missing out of my house. All we had was human love. And human love, to me, is dead. It doesn't get you anywhere. So this is kind of why I'm here in this chapter here, because I think it fits where I was. And as we read through this, it's kind of going to tell me where I'm at now, and not just me. I see a lot of people in this world today that are in the same position I was in. So I'm going to start here in verse 3 and 4. This is Jesus talking, and like I said, Jesus in this chapter here, or in the parables, he used a lot of stories. And I'm assuming this is why it really attracts me, because not being a Christian or raised in a spiritual family, this is a story. And I really understand this story as far as reading it and comprehending what Jesus is saying in his story here. So this really touched my heart. There's the last 2 or 3 weeks after you asked me, Mike, to step up here and do this, I believe the Spirit has really been talking to me, putting words in my mouth, in my mind, as I have worked outside in the garden, just looking out in the front yard of things that God has created. A seed, a seed, when you buy a seed in a package, it's dead. There's no life to it. So that's where I was as a young kid. So I'm going to start here in verse 3. As Jesus says, "Listen, behold, a sower went out to sow, and it happened as he sowed that some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds of the air came and devoured it." Now that right there, the wayside, as far as this right here, this picture right here that I'm reading here, these words describe me more than anything. The wayside, seeds have fell to the wayside. This is telling me that I was a young man with a hardened heart. A heart that was not receptive to anything, wasn't raised with the Word of God, the will of God in the home. So I want to look at this verse 15 in chapter 4. I think this kind of goes with the verse 4 and 3. And these are the ones by the wayside where the words were sown. When they hear, Satan comes immediately and takes away the word that was sown in their hearts. I don't think words were ever sown in my heart, but I believe the bird, Satan, picked up my seed where I was at. Without having the Lord in my heart, in my family, and being raised with Him, I picture Satan as this bird picking me up from the wayside. With him picking me up from the wayside, this really tells me my heart really needed to have some work done on it. And with that being said, I kind of look as my heart was full of sin, bitterness, and I think the biggest thing my problem was as I got older was self-centeredness. I wasn't God-centered in my life until the last 2 years, and I have to thank the Lord so much for redirecting my path. I feel like He's been my GPS in my life. He's kept me for 2 years down this straight path. He's put detours up on roads that I should not take anymore. I've had been to several places where people's, we've had, get together and people's, had some drinks and everything available there at their get-togethers, and it's really become a time where back then I would take them up on that offer. So with doing the studies, doing my daily reading of the Word, the truth, going to Bible studies, church Wednesdays and Sundays, with doing that, the easiest answer when somebody offers that is no. That's a really big change in my life, and so I really, really accepted the Lord and His guidance and His help with that decision in my life. And so I want to go to verse 5, in chapter 4. Some fell on stony grounds where it did not have much earth, and immediately it sprang up because it had no depth of earth. This verse kind of represents what I think of a shallow heart. I don't think I ever got to a shallow heart. I stayed at a hard heart for so long. So my definitions of a shallow heart is a thin layer of soil. Like I said, the last 2 weeks, the Lord has really talked to me as I've been outside, as I've kind of looked at the seeds, the cultivation of the soil that I had to do to prepare the seed, to plant it. So he's really worked on me. And as far as the bird, I was in the garage probably about a week ago and noticed a robin in the front yard. I kind of talked to Sherry about this too. But I was just sitting there looking at him, and he was looking. We have a little yopon bush in the front yard. It has the little red berries on there. That red berry reminded me of a seed that's laying on the wayside. I kept looking at that bird and kept tilting his head It was just looking at the next berry that it's fixing to pick. So it was flying up there, picking it off, going back. So, I think the Lord was using me right then and there, looking at this bird, said, this is the devil. This is what he has done to you in your whole life for so long. And so with that being said, it just made me go back and look and always revisit the Word. It makes me want to read more, study more, and share what I read. So with the verse 5, I would like to go over here, verse 16, same chapter. These likewise are the ones sown on stony ground, who when they hear the word immediately receive it with gladness, and that they have no root in themselves, and so endure only for a time afterward. When tribulation and persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they stumble. So, like I said, I believe this represents the shallow heart of so many people. It's a thin layer of soil. The root of the seed does not take affliction, or does not take root due to affliction, trials, fall away, which means stumbling away in the Word of God. I just picture so many people like this today that, they come to church maybe on a Saturday or Sunday and, do their hourly duties, and then they go home. And then you probably won't see them until the next Sunday. So this is what I kind of think of a person that has a shallow heart. It's not very receptive to what they're listening to. They're just there to please themselves, like they're doing a good deed for them. So I would like to go to here, chapter or verse 6. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some of the seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no crop. We'll go to verse 8 here. But other seed, we'll stop right there. This right here, to me, is a distracted heart. This is a heart that has a love for God and can see growth in God's truth. But there's still a problem with this heart. And after I read this verse over and over, it really gave me a lot of answers describing a distracted heart. As far as verse 19 in chapter 4, or 18, I'm sorry. Now these are the ones sown among thorns. They are the ones who hear the word, and the cares of the world, and the cares of the riches, and the desires of things entering and choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. This is really a heart that has fear, that doubts, a heart that has family problems, a heart that relies on money, material things, things that are not of God. I kind of describe the material things and the items here as the Antichrist things that are already here. These are things that can be fixed if you study the Word, accept the Word. This distracted heart also reminds me of Nicodemus, as Daniel had answered so many of his dreams when he was asked to answer them. Nicodemus would go out to his balcony, look out among his world, as he said, that he had created in his